What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Criminal Minds, Season 14, Episode 13, Chameleon. Just like the unsub in this episode, who was a chameleon, he could, fit into all these different lifestyles. But even though he got away, I believe that one day justice will be served. He will be caught by the team. I believe by Rossi. That point officially will be Common Chameleon. I'm so sorry. I know. Bad joke. Anyways, no, this episode was really interesting though, and I like these type of episodes that can introduce a character and maybe not have the team solve the case or catch the unsub by the end of it, just because it does add a little bit of weight to what's going on. I will say the whole twist with his daughter being involved, I like elements of it, but the daughter herself, I feel like I don't know, they did more to convince us that she wasn't involved than they really needed to. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Like, I understand they're trying to keep us on the edge of our seat. But in reality, when he smacks her over the head with a vase, she's not going to scream no. Because, I mean, she's involved. And maybe she would, like, be startled by the fact that he's about to kill this woman. Like, maybe she didn't see it coming, and maybe that could have been something you do. But to have her scream no, that's just for our benefit. For the audience to go, oh, she was involved the whole time, because you kept us in the dark entirely, and you threw in things that don't make any sense, like that scene. But there were some things that when you watch it a second time and you look at it through a different pair of eyes, it is fun to do that, and I think they did a good job with elements of it. Like the mother of the guy basically saying, my granddaughter, that's not on me. How dare you involve her in this? Thinking when we first watch it, oh, how dare you involve like her story as part of the con? But no, he's involving her in the con now. Like I like lines like that because it's very clever, with the double meaning. But yeah, her screaming no is just, there's no reason for her to do that, because it's not like she actually cares about this woman. Unless she does, in which case she's not at all like her dad. But it definitely didn't seem like it whenever she turned and started attacking the team. She seemed very much just like him and willing to do whatever it takes. So I don't know. That was my only real gripe with it. But the rest of it was pretty interesting. Seeing him fit into all these different things. We have seen a similar situation with the one guy who he was living all these double lives, but it was actually causing like a break in his mind to the point where whenever he accidentally slipped up and like blew a con that he was running, he ended up just killing the people around him because it drove him crazy. So kind of similar, but this guy just seems sick. At first I thought it was going to be something along those lines, but when we saw just how many faces he had collected at the end of it, I was like, okay, so no, he's been doing this for a while, and I am curious to find out why the team hadn't heard about any of this before, because it seemed like he had at least like 20 to 30 faces. So obviously he's been doing this for a while. Obviously there are several victims that the team don't know about. So I'm guessing he's stashing bodies somewhere to where people aren't finding them. Because if they were, then it would be reported and the team would have already been on this case. So I do wonder, because we don't really find out what changed, that all of a sudden he started leaving the bodies out, or maybe the connections just weren't being made. So it's like, oh, random person had their face cut off in this one state. Weird. Happened in the state next to us, but I'm sure there's no connection there. If that's the case, then yeah, people are kind of stupid. So I'm assuming he's been hiding the bodies, but probably something we'll find out whenever he returns. Because I do think they did leave some of his story up to our imagination, just so they could fill in the blanks later whenever he returns. Now, will he return by the end of this season? I don't know. With only 2 episodes left, I feel like they would have done a lot more of a to be continued if these last 2 episodes were going to be involved with this guy's story. So I feel like it's more likely that he'll return next season and be like, oh, he's killing again, or they'll find somebody with a face cut off and they'll wonder if it's him, and then it'll somehow be connected to him. I don't know. But yeah, all in all, I mean, it was fine. I do think telling the story through a flashback was okay. I don't know. I guess it does sort of build the intensity to see like, oh crap, they messed up. Like something bad happened. But I don't know. I feel like I've seen it done so many times that by this point I'm just kind of like, okay, so we're doing this kind of episode, right? And also the fact that they really tried to leave it a mystery whether they caught him or not. I don't know. I From how everybody was acting at the beginning, my thought was, okay, so he got away. And yet they still throughout the episode they had Crystal keep asking, but you guys still got him, so it's okay. And Rossi wasn't ever just like, no, we didn't. Like, he got away. He just didn't respond to that until the end of the episode whenever we find out, no, actually, he got away. And I guess it was supposed to be like a, oh, they didn't catch him? What moment? But I kind of guessed that from the beginning. Also, I do like the fact that this guy had a chance to kill Rossi, but decided not to. Because again, that's going to add that element of something personal whenever they find him again, whenever they go to take him down. Because for Rossi, I mean, not only to be beaten by somebody, but also to be to the point where essentially he probably should have died, but the killer decided to let him live, which I do kind of wonder why he did that. I know the explanation was something like he wanted me to know that he let me live and that he has power over me or something like that. But in reality, like one less guy coming to track you down. I get it, maybe he didn't have time really to finish the job and then go. Maybe he wanted to just knock him out and then leave. But it still seems like an odd decision. Like you have the guy, you're basically within killing him. All you have to do is stab him in the chest and run. And that would honestly, that would even it would buy you more time because it would make sure his team has to treat him first before they come after you. So it just seems weird that all they did was just leave a little cut on his head and just run away. So yeah, overall it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed finding all the moving pieces of it and stuff. But there are a lot of questions that I hope they'll answer whenever we see him again. But that's it for this one. So on to the penultimate episode for this season. I'll see you there. And now episode 14, Sick and Evil. So this one had an interesting premise. This idea that this woman is killing, I'm guessing because she believes she was possessed by this woman who killed herself and her husband and stabbed herself 22 times. I guess that's why we never actually found out what broke her, because it seemed like, she had her issues and then she met this guy, and I thought it seemed like that they were okay together, and then I guess, I don't know, this story is what broke her and she ended up killing her boyfriend, husband, I can't remember which one now. I don't know, it just seemed like we never really got a true reason why she suddenly just broke and killed him and then started killing all these people. So that's my best guess, is I guess she thought she got possessed by this woman and she was enacting this. Yeah, that's all I have. But no, I mean, the premise itself, before we found out all that, was interesting, but really the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes of this episode kind of killed it for me. First of all, this Courtney girl was just annoying. I'm sorry. I know there are probably people out there like this, but gosh, she was just obnoxious, showing up at a crime scene. Oh yeah, this is where so and so killed somebody else. Ooh, isn't this so cool? Like these houses are haunted and people are dying in them. Ooh, it's so cool. I'm like, is this supposed to be quirky or funny, or what is this? This is just weird. And then whenever she goes with this other girl, Stephanie, I think is her name. I'm terrible with names, so I probably have got that wrong. But she goes with her, and first of all, she's like, no questions asked. She leaves her phone. Like, okay, that's smart. But then she just goes in this house, and I know this isn't the actress. This is really the writers. But they wrote her to essentially just give us all the exposition we needed for what this house had, like what their story was, the ghosts that are haunting it. This is their story. Just have Courtney spout all of it unnaturally, awkwardly. I don't think any actress could have made those lines work. It was just uncomfortably long and drawn out, and they tried to make it seem natural, like, oh, but you already know the story, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I like to talk, and when I talk, I don't think, and when I'm just like, oh God, no, you're killing my interest here. And then to make it even worse, I came up with this idea that would have made the reveal that she killed her husband, first of all, more of a twist and actually more interesting if they showed us two attackers. Now, granted, how would you do that? Because one of the attackers wouldn't have been real. It would have been Patrick there, but not really. So it would have been difficult to do that more convincingly. There would have been some hints that, like, wait a minute, they said there's only one unsub, but we saw two, didn't we? I don't know, just something to make us think that maybe he's still alive. So whenever she gets to this room, she's like, I need to talk to him. And then all of a sudden she opens, yeah, Courtney opens the door and Patrick's not standing there next to her talking to her. That's when it hits us. Oh, he's just been in her mind this whole time. But the fact of the matter is, we only got this sense that Patrick was in her mind right here in the room. Like, as soon as she said, I need to talk to him, and they've only said there's one person. We only saw one person at the scene. And then we get to this moment and she starts talking to him. I'm like, okay, so this is a figment of her imagination, right? So then a minute or two later, whenever Courtney walks in and sees that he's not there, there's no surprise. Like, there's no, you set it up to be this reveal, like, oh guys, she's talking to Patrick and he's agreeing with her that Courtney needs to be killed. Oh, Patrick's not even there. Are you surprised? I bet you were. I don't know why my phone did that. But I mean, really, it's so simple and not interesting. And I don't know. I just, in my mind, I pictured a much better episode if they didn't try to do this stupid, like, last minute twist that they threw in without any sort of build up to it, except for like a minute before it happened. And then the whole fight scene was just stupid in general. The girl going for Courtney, and even though she's been so efficient so far, she stabs the wall. I Okay, sure, because we need to make sure Courtney doesn't die just yet. You could have had it where, I mean, she tied her up to the bed anyway and she was about to kill her that way. You could have just had it where she fought back a little bit and then she had some troubles tying her to the bed or something like that to buy some time, instead of, oh no, she just misses and she stabbed the wall instead. Because as we know, when you're swinging for somebody right here, I guess she was left-handed now that I'm thinking about it because it hit to the left of her head. It's interesting. But yeah, you're swinging right here, and so of course it's natural to go here. No, that's unnatural. If you're swinging for here, you're going to be swinging here. There's no reason your arm should come out here and stab like a good foot away from her head. So that was really dumb. The one couple that was killed as well, just really unnatural. And honestly, even just thinking about it, she killed one couple. Do we ever find, I guess we did find out that, she was thinking that she was cleansing these houses or whatever by killing the people there and then getting rid of the ghosts that were supposed to be there. But what's weird is that this woman that she was supposed to be emulating by stabbing 22 times in the stomach, like, is that supposed to be how you get rid of the ghost? Like, is that what this woman did and assumed? Like, is that it? Because there was no real indication. She was just picking these targets based on the fact that they were haunted, but I assumed it would have more to do with what this other ghost that she was emulating was doing, which was stabbing her husband and herself. So I don't know. It's just very odd, very, very strange that they didn't really tie any together. But anyways, the couple that she killed, the husband sees her, doesn't say a thing. His wife is asleep upstairs. He heard her go upstairs, and they heard a noise downstairs. He's like, Carla? Or Carly? Or whatever her name was. And then out around the corner comes the killer with the knife, and he goes, and he gets stabbed in the stomach and doesn't even scream, just, dude, you just killed your wife, you moron. Like, nobody wouldn't scream in that instance. Even, like, oh, I'm a man, I don't scream. If your wife is upstairs, you're going to scream to try to wake her up so she can get herself out of there. But no, I'm just going to take a knife to the stomach and go, so that way this killer can go up and then kill my wife after. So yeah, there's just a lot of problems with this episode that, honestly, again, it started off with kind of an interesting premise. I was into it at first, but by the end of it, I just really, I don't know, I was just waiting for it to end. And honestly, I mean, we talked a little bit about Everett Lynch a bit with Rossi. He's still dealing with the aftermath of it, which is fine. But I don't know, that was just sort of an outside story. It was more dealing with Rossi's reaction to what happened in the last episode rather than dealing with anything about actually tracking him down now. So, yeah, even that wasn't really that interesting in this episode. So, all around, pretty poor. As far as this season has gone, this one for me, I felt like I had a lot more issues and a lot more problems and actually got frustrated with large chunks of it. So, yeah, oh well. On to the finale. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 15, Truth or Dare. So there were elements of this that I did like. First of all, the fact that Joe Mentega, Mentenya, and I wish I knew how to pronounce it. The fact that he and Johnny Mathis are friends, because I actually looked it up to see, like, did they actually get him on as his best man for David Rossi because they're friends, and they are friends in real life. So that's pretty cool that he managed to get Johnny Mathis to come be his best man in the show. So that was a nice little Easter egg. I liked the concept of what the unsub was doing for this, but I wish they had done it with a more intimidating unsub, like somebody who was a lot more intelligent, somebody who had a lot more careful planning. Like this idea of, I'm gonna kidnap somebody you love and I'll kill them unless you do such and such. I like that. It's an interesting concept, and if it turned into kind of like a truth or dare scenario where, if they don't, it's funny because I actually I haven't watched the movie Truth or Dare, but I know what it's about. It's like essentially they have to play the truth or dare game, and if they don't, then they die essentially. So I kind of like that concept though if it were done in a more realistic sense where somebody was literally making people play, and if they didn't, then they would come and they would kill them. Like that kind of, it would be interesting to see how it would be done, because truth or dare, I mean, typically it's not that interesting of a game. It's not that serious. Most of the time you do it if you're drunk, if you're older. But other than that, it's mostly for younger kids, because their imaginations aren't that wide, so they think it's funny to do this type of game. But I don't know. I just, seeing how it could have been handled, seeing how he was using these people to kill others that wronged him, I really feel like it could have been, if they'd made it a bit more grand in scale, I feel like it could have been a really intimidating and kind of scary plot to go through. But as it was, this guy was just, I don't know, he wasn't all that interesting. He seemed way too emotional and erratic to have planned all of this and to have it done. I mean, literally, he kidnaps the judge's daughter and then shows up in her car. And throughout that entire final scene, I mean, there are so many moments where if the judge had just thought for a second, she could have just, bang, you're dead. Because he wasn't paying attention to her and he left a gun in her hand. Like, and he's like, if you don't do what I say, I'll kill your daughter. Well, you can't kill her if you're not there with her. Like, it would be more intimidating for her and she would be more likely to follow your orders if you were with her daughter in that moment, but you're not. So, yeah, it just, there were so many things that they ended up doing with him that didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I was a little disappointed in how this story played out because, again, the concept of what they were doing raised some interesting questions. I mean, they weren't actually playing Truth or Dare with the guy. I just assumed because the title of the episode was Truth or Dare that that's why this guy was having to do this, is because this person basically dared him to go kill these people in the hit and run. So I don't know. I had an idea. I think I do this to myself sometimes, where I have an idea in my mind of how I want a story to play out, and then how it ends up playing out, not at all what I had in mind. And so I'm a little disappointed because what I had in my mind was a lot more, ooh, that would be interesting, and it's got my interest. Granted, that could just be me. There could be other people out there like, that sounds like a stupid idea, but I mean, that's why everybody has opinions. But no, that final scene though in the shop where he's got Reed and JJ. I mean, there was a lot of that. Again, the judge could have shot him so many times. He just randomly shoots the shop manager or whatever. Don't know why he went in there to begin with. Like, I guess it was kind of just spur of the moment because they got blocked off and he realized they were coming to get him, so they just took the judge in there with him, and it just happened. I don't know. It just seemed very random that this girl was in there, and then he shoots the judge at one point. But the big talking point that I'm sure got a lot of people talking on Twitter and on Facebook. And ooh, what are they gonna do? JJ and Reed. So I'm sure there have been people that have been shipping them for probably over a decade since they first kind of started talking. I know there was a point where it seemed like they were setting them up as a couple. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't want them to be a couple, and based on what they're doing here, I mean, I don't actually think they're going to, because I mean JJ is in a very loving relationship with Will. So I don't think that this show would be stupid enough to actually break them up just to have JJ and Reed get together. Like, if they really wanted to do this, what they should have done is have Will end up dying. And that would have been awful too. Like, I would have hated that. But if you're really going to be showing me this storyline, like this is something that could possibly happen in the final season, Will needs to be out of the picture. But he's not. And you showed me a very sweet scene between the two of them earlier this season where he got JJ the necklace, that reminded her kind of her sister, and it was a great gift for everything she had just been through. So you've shown that Will and JJ still very much work, and they've got 2 kids. So you trying to push this storyline? I hate it. As soon as she said that, my first thought, because they showed them playing poker earlier in the episode. I got you, the bluff. I thought for sure they were going to get out of there, or Spencer was going to shoot the guy, and he was going to be like, I think I've figured out what your actual tell is. Something along those lines, because he got tricked by her earlier in the episode where she bluffed, or no, she didn't bluff. He thought she was bluffing, and then it turns out she wasn't bluffing. I thought for sure that there was going to be some sort of joke off of that. But no, there's this look between the two of them, and it's just like, I want her. And she's like, God, what have I done? I just admitted something that I didn't mean to admit. What are we in, freaking Degrassi now? I never even watched that show. But, what is this? We spent probably about 2 to 3 minutes from the moment where she said, I love you, Spence, to the end of the episode. A good 2 to 3 minutes of that was just filled with awkward looks between the two of them. I swear. I didn't actually time it, but I'm pretty sure it was at least that long. Is this really going to be a plot thread for season 15? Again, I know there are probably a ton of shippers out there that have been shipping them together since whenever they met. I don't remember was that season 3 maybe? I don't know. But whenever they met and they started playing with this idea that, there might be some connection there, I'm sure there were people that were like, oh, yeah, that needs to happen. Spencer and JJ need to get together now because they're so cute. But those are fanfic writers. Those are shippers. That's what they do. They put 2 characters together, even if they don't belong together. Because I'm going to tell you right now, over the past however long that Spencer and JJ have known each other, especially after she married Will, they have shown Spencer and JJ work incredibly well as a brother and sister. Like, I have only ever seen them as that. To the point where when she said that in this episode, and they made it seem more than just a simple joke or a bluff or anything, when she said, I actually got kind of uncomfortable. Because I see them as almost a brother and sister. Like, I don't see them as anything else. So, why? Who in their right mind thought this would be a good idea? Because I can tell you right now, it's not. I don't know where they're going with it, but this is not a good idea. And don't get me wrong, maybe it's not that I don't want Spence to have somebody by the end of the show. Like, I would like it if Spencer found somebody after all the hardship he's went through, because honestly, I do care about these characters. Finding out Matt is having another baby, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not really connected to Matt yet because it's still early days getting to know him, and we still haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he's fine as a character. I like him on the team. So seeing he's having another baby, I'm like, cool. Rossi, I love this wedding that he had. And again, I love the fact that Johnny Mathis was at the wedding and his best man. It was really cool. And I enjoy seeing them all, the camaraderie, them playing poker at the beginning, talking about shooting range and all of that. I love that stuff. because that's kind of the lightheartedness that brings me out of the depths of the darkness of the show sometimes, because the show can get very dark with how much dark stuff they tackle. So I get it. You need the lightheartedness, you need the characters to have a personal life that we can connect to, so we care about these characters and what they're going through outside of all this awful stuff that they have to see on a day-to-day basis. And Spencer has probably been one of the worst ones to deal with personal stuff outside. I mean, everybody's had their own issues, but for Spence, I mean, he's been through a hell of a lot, between his mom finding out about his dad, the one girl that he was pretty much in love with. I mean, they didn't see each other very often, but you could tell there was a real connection there. And then as soon as he sees her, gone. I mean, there's been a lot that he's been through. I would like it if he had somebody that he could turn to, and somebody that he could be with and love and all of that. I get that, but it doesn't have to be JJ. Because JJ's already got her somebody, and I like JJ and Will together. I can't believe I'm talking this much about romance on this show, because normally I hate romances in shows where that's not the main focus. But for this team, I've been with this team for a long time, and I care about them as if they're real people sometimes. So this storyline doesn't make any sense, and I hate it. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this way, but my God, I hate this storyline. Again, it's uncomfortable. You should not be looking at your sister that way. I don't care if she's not your blood sister. You should not be looking at your sister that way, because that's how I see them. That's what the writers have been giving me for the past however long, 10 seasons or whatever. So anyway, that's my rant about JJ and Spence. Again, if you're a fanfic writer who wants to see them together, go ahead and write your fanfic where they are. But for this show doesn't need it, because it's not. No, it doesn't work. With the actual characters that have been written here, this does not work on so many levels. I think that's about it, though, for this episode. But yeah, that's about it. Season 14, pretty good. They had some ups and downs. Obviously, these final few episodes weren't the best. I mean, the one with the Chameleon guy, I mean, that was a pretty interesting one. But yeah, they did definitely have some down points throughout. But I don't know. I still, for the most part, enjoyed this season. Again, I think one of the strongest parts about it was a lot of the callbacks. Previous seasons where all of a sudden we're talking about a case that's over a decade old on this show. I like the fact that they did that this season. I don't feel like that's something that I've seen really done ever on the show. Most of the time, if there are callbacks, they're like to earlier in the season or maybe just the previous season. But to go back 10 and 11 seasons ago and talk about stories that were all the way back then, that's a pretty cool thing. And the fact that they can do that, of course, is something to be admired, because that's how long they've been doing this and that's how much story they have. So yeah, I really enjoyed those episodes. I'm excited to see what they decide to do with Everett Lynch, finding out more about his character, finding out more about why he's been doing some of this stuff, and really just where his story is going to go with Rossi as well. The personal connection, the fact that Rossi got beaten, how's he going to bounce back from that? Because this guy, it's not like he was super planning or anything like that. He just got the better of Rossi. He got the jump on him. So really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with him. Hopefully it's not just kind of a story that's pushed to the side and just here and done in like half an episode or something. But yeah, going into the final season, I am looking forward to seeing how it's all going to come to an end. But that's about it for my thoughts on season 14. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these final 3 episodes and the season as a whole? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Criminal Minds reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next season, which is actually coming up next, because I just want to finish this show out. Peace out.